Hello, I'm Executive Chef Joseph Schutze. Welcome to our kitchen. Today I'd like to do a comfort food, but serve it on a higher level. We're gonna do beef stroganoff. I'm gonna cook the beef sous vide. We're gonna use things like morel mushrooms, dried porcinis, and some other really cool ingredients to really take this to a whole new level. So join me now as I show you how we're going to make this comfort food a 5-star dish. Well, before we begin, I'd like to give you a little history on stroganoff. The dish is actually named after a 19th century Russian diplomat. His name was Count Paul Stroganoff. And also, the dish used to be served with rice pilaf. Although in modern day in America, you see it a lot with egg noodles or some other type of pasta. But either way is fine. It's your choice. So let's get started on making this comfort dish 5-star. Well, the first thing we're going to do is we need to get our meat into the cryovac bags. I had cut the chuck roast into 6-ounce pieces, and almost very much like a short rib. And by the way, you can make this dish with any kind of meat that you like. The short rib is fantastic. Tenderloin, if it's in your budget, will be very, very tender and cook very, very fast. So this here is going to take 24 hours to cook. So now we will season with some olive oil, salt and pepper, vacuum seal it, and put it into our water bath that's preheated at 131 degrees Fahrenheit, and we'll cook it for 24 hours. Well, to begin, let's get a Dutch oven over medium-high heat, melting some butter, and let's add our mushrooms. Well, here we are. Our mushrooms are about 50% cooked. At this time, I like to remove them and put them off to the side. Now, using the same pan, let's go ahead and saute some pearl onions. These we only want to cook just until they get translucent and aromatic. Well, now they're cooked about 50%. Let's go ahead and remove them. Now I'd like to add some shaved garlic. I will add a couple sprigs of thyme and a touch of oil. We will saute this just until the garlic and the thyme become aromatic. Now that our herbs are aromatic, let's go ahead and add some dried mushrooms. We will then add veal stock. And then I like to add veal demi-glace. The glace is going to give it an intense flavor and also speed up the thickening process. On this one, I want to thicken with reduction versus using a thickening agent. However, we may use a little bit of a thickening agent like slurry or whitewash, but we will not need nearly as much because of using a demi-glace. So let's bring this to a simmer, and we will reduce it by 50%. Now that the sauce has begun reducing for about 10-15 minutes now, I will add my Worcestershire sauce, and then I'm going to thicken it with a little bit of the cornstarch slurry. We'll go ahead and whisk this together. I don't want to add too much because I don't want it to get too thick. Keep in mind that we will be adding the sour cream, and that's going to thicken it up significantly. So if you make it too thick now, you know, it's just gonna be like concrete. So we'll let this simmer for about 5-10 minutes and then on to the next step. Well, now that we simmered, let's go ahead and add our sour cream. Go ahead and whisk this in until it completely dissolves and incorporates. Well, now our sour cream has blended into the sauce. Let's go ahead and add our onions and mushrooms back to this. Let's go ahead and simmer for about 5 minutes or so to get everything back up to temperature, and adjust our seasonings with salt and white pepper. And our sauce will be complete, and then we are ready to go on to the meat. Well, our meat is done. We had it at 132 degrees Fahrenheit for 24 hours. And we now want to remove it from the vacuum bags, and we're gonna go ahead and dry it off with a towel or paper towel, and we're going to sear them. Well, here we are. Pan is just starting to smoke. I'll add a little oil, and let's go ahead and put in our meat. We want to get a nice sear on all areas. Well, there you have another version of my beef stroganoff. This one is obviously more elevated by cooking it sous vide for 24 hours and adding things like morel mushrooms, dry porcinis, and serving it traditionally with rice pilaf. And I finished it off with a little bit of herbs, where normally they didn't do that in the in the original recipe, but I'm not one to shy away from flavor. So, well, thank you very much for joining. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Hope it kind of showed you a different way to do it. You can take a simple comfort food and elevate it many ways. So just have fun making the food and definitely enjoy eating it. Thanks again for joining us. Jó étvágyat!